2025 is here and we of course are going to continue creating videos for you. Also, something that never changes is we offer Windows 11 Pro retail keys. For just $12.50, purchase one today and you are good to go for the end of the year when Windows 10 is end of life. It is 2025 and while the entire gaming community, especially the Elder Scrolls fans, are now really buzzing with excitement over the release of Oblivion Remastered of course, but also the somewhat anticipation for the Elder Scrolls 6, we still have that. There's one title that continues to captivate us year after year with its amazing graphics modding. That is of course Skyrim. So since the original release in 2011, Skyrim has of course been the #1 game when it comes to graphics modding, and it just shows year after year what it is possible to do. Now there is a brand new version of the Nolvus Awakening mod. This is version V6, and I have to say this Modlist definitely looks, for me at least, the best modded Skyrim I've ever seen in my entire life. It is big, it has huge amount of mods, but wow, it just looks visually absolutely stunning. Pretty fun fact, a month ago I upgraded my monitor with an OLED, an LG C4, which is a 42-inch OLED monitor, and I always was running it with an RTX 3090, and this is a 5-year-old GPU already, but it was still doing a very good job, especially since DLSS 4 is supported on all RTX GPUs. So please keep in mind, if you're having an RTX card from NVIDIA, you can use DLSS 4 as well. You don't necessarily need to have an RTX 5000 series card. However, the RTX 5080s are now MSRP, finally, so I did bite the bullet that after 5 years I thought it was time to get rid of my 3090, so I sold it and I bought a Zotac RTX 5080 solid core, and you know, with the selling of my 3090 it only costed me like $500. And it was definitely worth it because wow, this GPU really makes all the modern games run super amazing, especially of course with DLSS 4. And now it was time to throw a very big heavy mod list for Skyrim Special Edition to this 5080, and that is this one. The Nolvus Awakening V6 is, in my opinion, the best looking Skyrim I have ever seen, and it's great because it comes with a Wabbajack all-in-one automated installer. A little twist, the Nolvus team has its own somewhat of an installer, but eventually it will install a Wabbajack for you. So we have lots of things to discuss about this amazing mod list, and I would say let's get right through it. In this chapter, let's talk about the visual overhaul and the graphic variants, because what's really cool about Nolvus is that it offers you actually options to set up your version during the installation. So normally you do have options in Mod Organizer to change or disable mods, but here you can do it actually already on forehand. So let's see what we do have. First of all, Nolvus Awakening V6 just doesn't slap on new textures, boom, that's it, because it reconstructs now pretty much the entire game. So first of all, we have northern roads, and this means you can say goodbye to the bland, repetitive paths and roads. Every road, you know, we've seen it already in a lot of mod lists, but they feel like really something unique and just like a journey sometimes through Middle Earth. Then we have the seasonal 3 mashup, and I think one of the best things from this mod list are the trees. They look so realistic and so different than the more static, unrealistic tree mods I've seen before. So this is really not only that, but also you can experience the beauty of changing seasons. So with foliage, that I would say would make really a big impact on the total setup. Of course, we have city and town overalls. So Whiterun, Solitude and Riften, they have undergone extreme makeovers. So yeah, that really does of course do a lot to the immersion. And there has been a total NPC visual overhaul as well. So no more potato-faced NPCs. It's been done very well, but also very natural. And I would say, last but not least, the water and weather is really done very well in this overall. So rain feels really realistic and wet, and you know, snow that crunches underfoot. For some reason, these weather systems just do a lot more than I've seen from the other mod packs. So like I said earlier, this mod list does a great job in offering you to choose between 3 setups before you're actually going to set anything up. So you have Ultimate, Ultra and Redux. So the ultimate is for the one with very beastly rigs, so very high quality 4K textures, ultra settings, and enough detail to count the hairs and fur on creatures, an example like we have seen with the Oblivion Remaster. Of course, keep in mind, only choose this if you have a very, very heavy PC. So then we have the Ultra, and this is a quite nice balanced choice for gamers who still want all that beauty, but without sacrificing too many FPS. And the Redux is pretty much nice if you want to have more vintage system. Still looks very good, but not as super heavy on your PC. So 3 nice options, I would say, and each preset maintains the core gameplay experience and still allows you to select the level of visual enhancement. So that's really nice and very unique that you don't need to mess around in Mod Organizer 2 itself after the installation. So there are some performance considerations regarding this. Of course, VRAM usage, so very high resolution textures and high resolution game. The game resolution will of course significantly increase VRAM consumption. I'm having 16 gigabytes now on my RTX 5080. It's doing quite well. I think maybe there's some DLSS running. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that would mean it would upscale on a lower resolution. And of course, GDDR7 on the 5080 is more efficient than the older VRAMs on older GPUs. However, something definitely to keep in mind. So it is something you have to check for yourself, check the system requirements, and then adjust those 3 presets on what you have. The discussion about modded combat is always pretty, subjective, because some people like realistic combat, some people like more Dark Souls intense combat, but there are also people like me who just prefer vanilla combat, except for the stupid spinning death overall. For the rest, I'm pretty much okay with Skyrim's combat. So what this Modlist does also gives you options. So this comes with not only overhaul options, but also animations, which are, I would say, those are definitely needed for a 2025 overhaul. So Nolvus has over-integrated 150 combat-related mods, and what it's trying to do is to provide a more dynamic and responsive combat system. So these modifications introduce features like, randomized animations for blocking, parrying, and movement. So this should ensure that each encounter feels more different and unique than these very standard default attacks. So you have the option between 2 combat styles. You can pick the fantasy combat. This offers acrobatic and stylized movement, and this will provide a more cinematic combat experience. You have the more conventional add-on, so this maintains a grounded approach, aligning closely with the original game's combat mechanics. And also I would like to always point out, you can disable all of these mods to have it fully vanilla. So a couple of things to notice as well. We have the OAR mod, so the Open Animation Replacer framework, and this is utilized to incorporate over 265 animation mods. So this will enhance both player but also NPC movements. So this system allows for, I would say, more race-specific animations, an example, and this will ensure that every different race and class have more unique combat styles and behaviors. Also, we have expanded perk trees and magic. So Nolvus Awakening V6 now integrates the Vorkinator Black, and this introducing over 120 new magic and perk mods. So this expansion provides you with way more broader range of abilities and spells. So not only the default ones, which you probably know by now since 2011. So this allows you also for more diverse character builds. So I would say it is good that Nolvus gives you options from the start already to have it more either fantasy combat or conventional combat. So maintaining the somewhat vanilla combat style, but definitely improving all the animations. But again, like I said, you can disable everything if you really want to do that. This mod list offers a very amazing transformation of the world of Skyrim. So it enhances pretty much everything, and the thing which is of course most noteworthy is the entire world and environment. So let's try to focus a little bit from all these mods what you can pretty much expect from the world and environment overhauls. I would say the biggest thing that truly stands out is the natural landscape improvements. So the forests and trees, I would say, are the best looking I've seen so far in any Skyrim mod list. And this is being handled with the Seasonal 3 Mashup mod, and it introduces diverse tree types that change with the seasons also. So this not only adds realism to the game's ecosystem, but in general, these trees just look so very well done. These are not like the static trees just boom planted in the ground, like where you can truly see this is some mod which overhauls the vanilla trees. Now the trees not only look fantastic, but they almost look like they just belong there. So very well done, and I think the forest trees and vegetation is done very well. Then we have roads and paths, and they look very realistic, like the parallax effects. And this has been done by Northern Roads. So what Northern Roads does, it just revamps the entire game roadways, paths. So this provides a more detailed and yeah, a bit more variety when it comes to textures, to realistic textures, and just your fully travel experience just looks more real and realistic, because sometimes you have these seams in the road textures, and I think this Modlist fixes most of that, and that really keeps immersion. And then one of the biggest things always being overhauled with Skyrim is the water. So the water bodies, water textures and behaviors have been really refined with brand new mods. So what you see is now a more clear river, more beautiful water. It responds better to lighting, and it is just way more, I would say, a dynamic real water movement, because sometimes the water, even when you're using mods, can look super weird in Skyrim. You have also these seams, these gaps, distant distant alignments of water bodies sometimes isn't done very well. So this Modlist does a really good job for that. And also you have the environmental consistency. So really good efforts have now been made to ensure environmental consistency throughout the game, because I think a lot of mod packs, they just slap a lot of mods on top of it, which of course looks great, but not always feel like the transition between areas feel very natural, or it just feels very modded. How do you say it? Like it has been modded, almost too clean or unrealistic, but I think this Modlist does a very good job. So the grass and flora, grass fixes have been applied to various regions, including the Whiterun Hold, the Reach, you know, those kind of examples really ensures you have a realistic vegetation, no grass sticking around, which you sometimes see with these weird glitches. And this Modlist finally, I would say, does a great job in almost fully fixing these weird sticking grass issues in the game. And then lighting and atmosphere, that just really is an amazing thing here as well. Lighting effects have been adjusted to match the enhanced environments we have seen, and this just in general provides a more realistic feel, more immersive visual experience. So I would say there has been lots and lots of things under the hood, but also these things, the world and environmental detail, are the ones that truly shine in this amazing Modlist. Let's check what we need to have regarding system requirements. So this mod pack comes in 3 options: the Ultimate preset, the Ultra preset, and the Redux preset. So for the Ultimate preset, this is targeted for high-end systems for 4K resolution, and it comes with 4K textures as well as some 2K. So what is recommended is to have at least an i7 from the 10th gen or higher, and at least an RTX 4070 Ti or higher. So that's a very beefy GPU. And yeah, I can imagine that not everyone has this, but you really want to have this if you want to play this Ultimate preset. VRAM 14 GB or higher is absolutely recommended. So there are not many cards which have 16 GB or more, so that's something to keep in consideration. One of the biggest things I would say regarding requirements is the SSD space, because this requires 426 gigabytes of SSD space, which is really insane, of course, but yeah, it is what it is. You might want to start clearing some other Wabajaks, which I'm sometimes doing as well, because that's unfortunately what we're going to need today with all those 4K textures. The second preset is the Ultra preset. It's more targeted for 4040p, comes with 2K textures. CPU is pretty much the same. The GPU is at least an RTX 3080 Ti or higher, so also still a very beefy GPU. Even while it is 2 generations old, you need at least 10 gigabytes for VRAM or more. So yeah, this Modlist is not for the weak systems. There is one last preset, which is the most forgiving. This is the Redux preset for somewhat mid-range-ish systems. It is targeted for 1080p resolution. It comes with 2K and even 1K textures included. And the CPU is the same. However, this is more forgiving. You only need an RTX 2070 or higher with 8GB VRAM or more. So still beefy, but if you have a very good PC nowadays, this is truly a Modlist you want to check for your system. A really, really great benchmark. One thing I would like to point out is that this V6 is still in beta, so it means you might encounter some issues. An example, clipping or floating objects, so some objects may not align correctly with the environment. I think this is a bug which is actually in the original Skyrim, fully unmodded, that items are still sometimes very weirdly not fully placed on surfaces and they just float a little bit on top of that, but modding seems to make it sometimes worse, and this of course is no stranger to those kind of issues. Then we have the terrain and building bugs, so certain areas might have these weird terrain seams still or some building misalignments, and I personally see sometimes some weird flickering things on mountaintops. Not really sure if that's something I'm doing wrong, but that's what I've noticed so far. Also still there are a lot of improvements needed, so 3 ingress level of detail, so the LOD enhancements are still ongoing, but I think Skyrim, even Special Edition, is still somewhat limited regarding LODs. You still see that even in the very highly modded Skyrim, all the mod Wobbuchecks I've seen so far, you know, they have these issues regarding LODs that it sometimes just pops in. I don't really care when playing it, but I can understand if you're watching a video, it just looks weird. And also, performance drops. I would say it's very expected with a very big, heavy Modlist like this, but some users might experience frame drops. I even see it on my 5080, so yeah, it's not you, it's in general. But in general, for most of the part with my 5080, I of course can run it very, very well. So I would say this is really something to keep in mind. Very, very beefy system requirements. So I checked my mod organizer too. It comes in total with over 3,600 mods and plugins, so that's really an insane amount and probably the biggest amount of mods I've ever seen in a mod list. But then again, it comes with a Wobbucheck all-in-one automated installer. It does the process a little bit different because you need to download a Nolvus downloader from their own website. But for the rest, it pretty much works the same, which means you also have the customization which you want. You can add mods on top of it, disable mods you don't like. So that all works really well because also here you have a fully set up mod organizer too. So with that, just follow the installation instructions. It is very, very simple to download this installer. You don't even need to download a Wobbucheck because this setup does everything for you. So thank you very much for watching. I really love playing this mod list. For me, it is definitely the 2025 list so far, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos.